You know, we're all chasing productivity, but what if we've been chasing the wrong thing entirely? Today, we're going to totally redefine what it means to be productive, and we're not going to do it by looking at the clock on the wall, but by tuning into the powerful clocks that are already inside our own bodies.
So tell me if this sounds familiar. You have one of those days. Your calendar is jammed, you're just bouncing from one thing to the next, but when you finally clock out, you can't point to a single meaningful thing you accomplished. It's such a frustrating feeling, and it's way too common.
For decades, the answer we've been given is always the same, right? Just manage your time better. We're drowning in to-do lists and efficiency hacks and all these apps that promise to squeeze every last drop out of every minute. But let's be honest, a lot of the time that just leads to a more organized version of chaos, not real impact.
And that brings us to the big question for today. What if our obsession with hours and minutes is actually distracting us from what really matters? What if the clock is just the wrong thing to be managing? Let's dig into that.
Okay, so let's start by talking about something I call the productivity trap. This is the cultural mindset that has us all just spinning our wheels, a place where we've started to confuse being busy with actually being successful.
I mean, think about it. We wear burnout almost like a badge of honor. There's this crazy cultural idea that if you're not completely exhausted, you must not be working hard enough. But this whole approach, it just completely ignores how humans actually perform at their best, and it leads straight to burnout and kills our creativity.
So, if time isn't the key, then what is? Well, this brings us to the absolute core idea of this whole explainer. The real currency of high performance, it isn't time, it's energy. This quote just nails it perfectly. Think about it like this. 4 hours of focused, high-energy work can be so much more productive than, say, 12 hours when you're scattered and exhausted. See, the game isn't about how many hours we put in. It's about the quality of the energy we bring to those hours.
Now, what's really cool is how we can break down this idea of energy. It's not just one thing. True productivity means we have to manage all 4 of these dimensions: our physical stamina, our emotional state, our mental clarity, and even our spiritual connection to why we're doing what we're doing. If any one of these tanks, believe me, our performance suffers.
So, the million-dollar question is, how do we actually manage this energy? Well, the answer isn't something we all have, but most of us totally ignore: our internal body clock. And this is where we get to dive into the pretty fascinating science of chronobiology.
At the very heart of all this are our circadian rhythms. Just think of this as your body's master clock, okay? It's this roughly 24-hour cycle that runs in the background and governs basically everything, from when you feel sleepy to when you feel sharp and alert. It influences your hormones, your body temp, the whole shebang.
And here's where it gets really interesting. While we all have this master clock, they are not all set to the same time. This is what's known as your chronotype. It's your own personal, hardwired tendency to be a morning person, an evening person, or, somewhere in between.
And we can basically break it down into 2 main categories. You've got your larks. These are the early birds, the ones who feel amazing in the morning. And then you have your owls, who would much rather stay up late and really hit their stride in the afternoon or evening. Just figuring out which one you are is the first huge step.
And look, this isn't just about what you'd prefer. The science is really clear on this. When you align your work with your natural chronotype, it has a huge, measurable impact on your performance.
So for instance, one study tracked a bunch of college students using data from their phones and Fitbits, and what they found was a direct link between how stable their daily rhythms were, things like their sleep and activity patterns, and how productive they were. The big takeaway here? Consistency is everything.
The study found this negative correlation of negative 0.16. Now, what that number really means is pretty simple. As the instability of your daily schedule goes up, so as it gets more chaotic, your productivity goes down. So a stable rhythm is a productive rhythm. It's a direct relationship.
All of this points to this really powerful idea called the synchrony effect. It's basically the concept that we are at our absolute best when what we're doing is in sync with our body's optimal timing. And this affects 2 supercritical areas: our energy, or our vitality, and our ability to learn.
And check this out. This shows the difference so clearly. A study on employees found that for larks, their vitality is highest in the morning, and then it just goes down throughout the day. But for owls, their ability to learn and process new information actually increases as the day goes on. This is exactly why forcing an owl into a 9 a.m. brainstorming session is probably a waste of time, just like asking a lark to do their most complex work at 5 p.m.
Okay, so we've got the science down. Now, how do we actually put this stuff into practice in our real lives? Well, that brings us to our final section: some real, practical strategies for syncing your life up with your natural rhythm.
The research points to 3 really powerful things you can start doing right away. First, manage light. Get a blast of bright light in the morning to tell your brain, hey, time to wake up, and then try to avoid it at night to help you wind down. Second, time your meals. Eating at consistent times helps regulate your body's metabolic clock. And third, and this is a big one, get your sleep schedule right. Going to bed and waking up around the same time, yep, even on weekends, is one of the absolute best ways to stabilize that internal rhythm.
And that really leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Instead of constantly asking ourselves, how can I get more done? What if we started asking, how can I show up at my absolute best for the things that truly matter? By shifting our focus from managing time to managing our energy, we unlock a way more sustainable and honestly a more meaningful way to be productive. It's a change in perspective that can really transform not just your work, but your whole life.